Swadikap. Good afternoon. This is Pravit Rojanaprit from Khawsot English. We're doing this for both Khawsot Thai and English, so there'll be a subtitle in Thai. And for this special episode, I'm very pleased to have a fellow journalist, Kun or Mr. Matt Hunt. Hello.
Swadikap.
So, Kun Matt Hunt, why is he here? Let me just very briefly explain. A couple of days ago, he basically explained his take on two controversial American figures that has been involved in the, indirectly at least, involved in the Thai-Cambodian conflict. And the first name, I think most Thai would know, and even some foreigners who've been following the Thai-Cambodian conflict would know, is Mr. Michael Alfaro, who was reported by some local Cambodian press as being a White House correspondent. Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong. That's how it was presented. And then his sort of associate or buddy or whatever, Mr. Gary Franchi, with the Next News Network, both American, and then of course in the soon after Alfaro presented his take on what's happening along the Thai-Cambodian border. From the Cambodian side, some Thai press started questioning whether Alfaro was indeed a White House correspondent or not. But it took this man, Matt Hunt, who is a correspondent for France 24 or France 24, the French public media corporation, to really nail it down or probably take it a mile or a step further by calling them scammers. Mm-hmm. So let's start from there. Who are they? Why were you even interested in that? But okay, for your viewers' understanding, Mr. Hunt also covered Cambodia on top of Thailand, although he has been based here for 10 years.
Correct.
But yeah, why did you get yourself involved in, putting a Facebook content explaining or debunking Alfaro and Franchi?
For me, it was not necessarily about them much at all. I intended to be very quick, and I had no idea that so many people would see, to be honest. But it seemed to me that from the very beginning of this that they were illegitimate. And so I had a quick look through things, and the illegitimacy just became more and more glaring, like every step that I took through the social media presence that they have. So whether it's like on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, et cetera, and it's essentially all fake influence. And so as you had mentioned before, there was at one point they had received a White House press credential to report at the NATO summit, which I think happened earlier this year.
Right.
And that is true. I have verified that. And that press badge, which I think you understand, we have a lot of them. They've basically like upcycled that press badge to keep using it, and it does have the White House press logo on it. But it also says like on the top half, like NATO and then White House, and it seems like they just cut off the NATO part and they present these credentials. And so when I saw that, I felt bothered because one, they're obviously taking advantage of people in a situation where people are in a life or death situation, and also this kind of piggybacks on an issue that's ongoing in America with like fringe right-wing news networks having some kind of newfound legitimacy. And it was just opportune moment. There was no specific incident involving the border conflict that made me feel that specifically what they said, one specific thing that they said was necessary for me to like step in. But just overall, once I saw that they were going home and they were trying to make people feel like they were going to be received by President Trump, that I needed to at least tell people around here that people like me, who are in some ways similar to people like that, do not see any legitimacy in anything that they're doing. And so I also sought the opinion of some other people before I did it. And I asked, for example, some hardcore Republicans, some pretty conservative American people, and even the people who subscribe to the legitimate conspiracy news, kind of, don't give the time of day to these guys. So that's why I felt it was necessary to just say a quick thing or two. I did not expect this many people to see.
Now, you went as far as to, I mean, the Thai press, including Khalsot English and Khalsot Thai, I think we have debunked and said he is not a White House correspondent, but you went as far as to call the two scammers. Is that, how could you justify that? Is that a little bit of a stretch?
Not at all. Like, for example, if you look at what they're now doing on TikTok, the video that I made is obviously something that has drawn a lot of attention. And so to get views and to increase the uptake of their scams, they like have taken the video of me and covered it with cryptocurrency hashtags and like reposted it several times. And there's no legitimacy to anything that they say or do. And so for them to come and create this idea that they are someone so that they can take away from it, that is the essence of a scam. I think when we talk about what is a scam, I mean, there's all types of scams. Cyber scam is one. But also, of course, when we're talking about the situation related to Cambodia, where scam centers are a serious issue, I think that by using the word scam, it would reach to the core of the issue and that people would listen at this point.
What they did, it attracted 200,000 views and I think hundreds of shares on Facebook. But really, I mean, how do you make sense? Because Gary Frenchy, the chap with the Next News Network, stated on Facebook after this whole incident that Michael Alfaro was not paid, although it may appear that he worked as a lobbyist, but he was not paid to come to Cambodia to cover the conflict from the Cambodian point of view. So do you buy that? And if not, who? I mean, do you think Michael Alfaro had voluntarily sacrifice his time and money and just come because of his concerns for what's happening between Thailand and Cambodia, or there was something else? I mean, what's your take?
I think you're getting close to what I think. I think that unlike the common belief that he was paid, I believe that he is probably the type of person to just do it for free. No one cares about this guy. So I'm not sure.
Suddenly he has millions of viewers, and mostly from Cambodia, that is.
Yeah, I don't think that he was paid. I can't prove that he was or wasn't paid. That's important. But I don't think that money is what he was seeking. And I think that it's clear by looking at the content that he created that what he was intending to do was to create influence for himself. He's basically upcycling influence. And when I talked about purchasing photo opportunities with President Trump, that is just exactly in line with the type of person who would go and try to increase their influence, because I believe that probably what he wants is most likely to be legitimized by President Trump. I mean, they are, if you look at what they're doing, they're essentially crying online every day for President Trump to like their tweet or to anything for them. But there is no connection between Donald Trump and these people, except for the fundraising events that they attended. So I would say that it's the other way around. I actually believe that they pay for these things. I also believe that they probably pay for a lot of this traffic that you're seeing. The idea that bots and IO just show up like without any impetus, I think is a bit of a stretch. So yeah, I think that there's nationalism at play and there's real people involved. That's why I said something. But I do also think that if you look at the basic metrics of their work, that they buy everything. I don't know where the money comes from. In fact, I would guess that they don't have much money at all. They don't present themselves as someone that has money. But if we look at it from the alternate perspective of Cambodia, the leaders of Cambodia, and the idea that they buy media, my experience with billionaires or even tens of millionaires, however much money Hun Sen has, is that they don't get rich by giving away money.
Right.
And I don't believe that they would have paid for a slob to stand on the border. I mean, this was low quality. If it was paid, I think that there would have been a production or a message. There was not even really a message, in my opinion. So when I think about how I work myself, I certainly would, when I have a budget to do things, you can tell. And this appears to be something that had no budget. So I'm on the other side of that.
Okay, now I have two questions. You mentioned the need for journalists, in criticizing Alfaro. Actually, you mentioned the fact that journalists needs to be impartial. May I ask if you are being partial simply because you have spent 10 years in Thailand? And is there any elements of local or domestic U.S. politics being involved simply because both of the two whom you are criticizing and you yourself are Americans?
No, and I think that if anyone who...
And if I may interject, because we all know that there's such a bad blood between, the pro and the anti-Trump American people. It's just really toxic. Well, Thailand is not that much better in a way, but please.
I think that all it takes is about 5 minutes of scrolling through my work, which now a lot of brand new people are seeing, to see that most of all of the work that I've done, because I'm here, has been around human interests, social issues, economy, neglected conflict in Thailand. I have been critical of every government I've seen, and I sit down and speak to them face to face on my channel. So I think if there's any question about my impartiality, you can just look back a couple of months when all the comments were telling me to leave, because that's how it is. And the most important thing in this question, I think, is if you have to make this a comparison of like legitimacy or credibility, you have one group of people and me, and this group of people is fighting for you to know why they are someone. What is their work? What have they done? I have not tried to explain my work once. I don't have to. It speaks for itself, I believe. And so if people feel that I'm partial about something, they could say that. But in this coverage, I have no choice. I can't go across the border right now. However, I have spoken as much as I can in a way that focuses on civilian issues for Cambodians and Thais. Right. And so the answer would be resolutely no.
Now, let's just borrow your outsider's point of views, or lens, if I may, and look at what's happening between Thailand and Cambodia, particularly the press, the media in both countries. The vast majority of both the Thai and the Cambodian press are now very partisan. They're either for Team Thailand or Team Cambodia. And, if you read a lot of the local press, and let me just cite the Thai example, when they are fed with the Thai government or the Thai military information, and when even some of the informations may sound questionable, they do not even try to say, but we cannot independently verify the information. It's just there, and sometimes they just state it as it is, like the army said. They didn't even say the army said. If the army said something, they would just say, something happened. Not that the army said something. Do you have any concerns about the state that the majority, I would say, vast majority of both the Thai and Cambodian press are behaving in this time of conflicts or war?
It's hard for me to answer as much for Cambodia, so I will go there first. Obviously, the media in Cambodia has been greatly suppressed over a long period of time, especially in the last decade. So the ability of journalists there, I don't think is something we should focus on because they are facing intimidation, arrest, death, all types of things that they do their best. And I work with a really great network of Cambodian journalists and fixers, so I'm not going to be critical of them. I can say that from the Thai perspective, I also don't think that it's the right time to criticize them from a negative viewpoint. I think that there's so many people who are legitimately doing their best, and I attribute the issues that you just brought up about how the information is reported, how it's relayed more to the industry of media in Thailand, which is such that you have reporters that have to make 10 stories a day. Just to survive, and they're not paid very well. There's so many things that work against the people who you see in front of the camera. And those are the people also who are having to write the stories. I don't think that enough accountability is being put onto the editors, etc. I think that when it comes down to the bottom line of like this story was published and the editor allowed it to be. I'm sorry, pointing at you, but but I mean, if there's issues with information from journalists, I think that we have to hold power accountable, which is editors. And I think that for the most part, the Thai journalists are doing their best. And of course, there's a certain level of emotion involved in what's going on because this is their home. And also, you go online right now, and everything that they do is going to be guaranteed that there will be people in their comments being emotional. And so I think it's very easy to do what you said, pass along information without attributing it, for example, this thing. But at the end of the day, I still think that my part in it and what I can do, instead of criticize the Thai journalists, is to just say that, well, first of all, I'm not perfect. And secondly, are you right now talking about yourself, or are you talking about something that will lend to a solution for the people who are actually the story? And so when it comes to how people report things and why, obviously there's some bad actors, but I think for the most part people are doing their best, and that likely editors and the people who are, if we have to talk about it, paying editors, funding media companies, like who is making those decisions? Because most Thai journalists don't feel comfortable speaking up, whereas someone who, in my situation, I can. If someone presents me with bad information, I can question power, but I don't think that it's as easy for a Thai journalist because their life is going to be in a problematic state. They could lose their job. And so I really understand, and I want to encourage Thai journalists. But if I see something happening, I would say it to them directly. I won't shame them publicly.
Now let me take you back to Cambodia a little, and in reference to what Michael Alfaro has been doing. I mean, do you believe that Cambodian government, because there were pictures of him meeting with some Cambodian officials, knowingly allowed Alfaro to create this fake or fictitious identity as a White House correspondent, or were they actually misled by Alfaro? I mean, how does it work? And do you think actually this whole thing was more not about communicating to the outside world, but more about pandering to the local Cambodian need to feel that, actually we're winning, or the world is hearing us, and there is this dubious personalities involved who are, Farang, who are American foreigners or Westerners?
I think you have to really know the answer to the question. You have to think like a dictator, and a dictator doesn't really care about Michael Alfaro. A dictator cares about communicating their message and asserting their control. And this person, was it possible that he scammed them? Yeah, but it's very unlikely. I think he was a tool, kind of like to the point that we had talked about before about the money. I think it was probably for free. And I think that, they gave him the access. That's pretty obvious. You can't just walk around in this area. He was with the army. But I don't think that they will be thinking of him again. I don't think that he will be coming back. And I think that when people start to speak about legitimacy and credibility, it's possible that in the future they may pick another pawn. But I think that he's probably not the most intelligent person, and also I think he most likely someone in his situation, he still at the end of the day had to meet his target, which was to have more followers, even if it's for a temporary amount of time. So I think that he was just used by them, and it was just kind of like a perfect situation for both of them, which are, it's sad.
On a personal note, after you made that much shared video and viewed video, I heard you've been threatened, or what happened, and what's your future prospect of ever visiting Cambodia safely to report or do whatever work you need to do?
I'm not sure. I think that this idea that I'm banned from Cambodia actually kind of piggybacks off of a fake news story about about him being banned from Thailand. And actually this was a story that he's using to try to increase some kind of weird influence or credibility or whatever, that Thailand has blacklisted him, but that's not true. And so for me, I can't confirm that I'm not allowed to go to Cambodia, but I wouldn't go there just at this time. But that makes me like greatly sad. I love working in Cambodia, and I hope to return. But for now, people have threatened my life, and that's not new. You're a journalist. I'm sure that this has happened to you, but I'm not so worried about that. I knew that this is possible, and I would stick the point, which is, I could come out and complain that people are threatening my life and that I'm banned from Cambodia, and then I'm doing the exact same thing that the scammer's doing, which is making it about myself. Whereas, like, if there's tons of people looking at what I have to say, I think they should know what's happening in the situation. So yes, those things are happening, but I'm not so worried.
Now let's not make it about yourself, so I will shoot the next question, since you covered Cambodia as well, I presume. What's your reading of the situation? There's been a conspiracy theory that if Thailand was not the aggressor, then was it a provocation initiated by the Cambodian leadership, the political leaders, in order to present themselves, and we are referring to the Cambodian Senate President Hun Sen and his son, the Prime Minister Hun Manet, as the heroes who can, say no or stand the ground against the bigger neighbor, which is Thailand, and the historical aggressor. What's your reading of that? I mean, no one has a definitive answer as to what had happened to, a month ago, which was the so-called, I would call it a 5-day undeclared war, and now we are still, in a situation where the truce is very fragile 1 month on. So how do you grasp? There have been several theories floated, on the Thai side, and let me, to be fair to the Cambodian viewers, there have been theories that possibly the Thai deep state, including an element within the army, wanted to undermine the Pheu Thai, government, which is led by the Chinawat clan. So this whole thing was started in order to, for them to gain the power and the support of the public, and in which they have. The second army commander is now literally a hero, quote unquote, of, I would say, 80% of the Thai population. That would be fair. So what is your take as another observer? I like to pick your brain, and maybe you want to jump in, because I've been hearing so many theories actually.
I don't give any breath to conspiracy theories when I talk. I think that all of the things that you just said are some of them would be conspiracies, and some of them with time. Conspiracies thrive because they have some element of truth, right? So, or they could be related to some element of truth. And there is some element of truth to the idea that there is a potential family feud at the top in this situation. However, as I said, I think that all of that is conspiracy theory, and I think that it is a distraction from the really serious issues that hundreds of thousands of people cannot go home. People have lost their legs. People have died. I mean, there's also people in Cambodia who are still unsure where or when or if their loved ones will come back that are most certainly probably deceased. And these types of things are what I'm focused on. However, to give you a practical answer that other people may find useful, I think that something that is that needs a little focus from media is to remove the Shinawat narrative because it's simply not, as far as I see it, it is simply not the problem. The problem to me is that people are dying. And perhaps there is other powers at play, but I'm not being critical of other journalists and how they do. Sure, maybe there's truth to something and they can uncover it, or there's a scoop, but I can't speak to any of that stuff because I've looked into all of the ones that you've said and then some, and it just isn't worth our time. I think that journalists are a key tool, especially right now when there's so much information, to hopefully bringing some kind of real, strong ceasefire, some peace. Right. And so if what we do is we make videos and write stories about Thaksin, how is that really moving us forward? We already know that there are domestic issues in Thailand, and we could have a whole show about that. But I don't necessarily believe that those domestic issues have a direct hand in the creation of this conflict. Of course, the conflict is exacerbated by domestic issues on both sides. But the rest, I feel, is conspiracy and waste of time.
Right. Now, due to the limitation of time, I'm probably going to ask you one more question and try to focus on what you have just stated, how we could bring about peace or de-escalate or, move or ensure that more people will not unnecessarily have to suffer or be displaced. As we know, there've been actually, since the truce has been agreed upon, one thing that has not subsided, and in fact probably has even escalated, is the peoples on both sides of the borders engaging in hate speech, dehumanizing speech. Would you even have any practical advice? I mean, it gets to the point where I as a journalist even ask if we should even publish some of those demeaning content. For example, but I did, and I will explain why. There's a buffet restaurant in Siem Reap in Cambodia, which posted on Facebook a sign saying something like Thai people and rats cannot enter. Okay, this is a legit from what I check, not a fake Facebook page. And then that was yesterday, and today they went on to even explain or state that Thai peoples are evil. Okay, on the Thai side, you still have the clips of some ultra-nationalist Thais attacking innocent Cambodian migrant workers. Just pick them up. And, actually in a way, I see the concerns that if we talk about it, publish it, it could fan further hatred. But on the other hand, if we do not do it, at least to a certain point and with some sort of, a responsible way of framing it, we would be in denial that this is an unprecedented conflict, I would say, between the two countries in I would say in modern history, or at least over the past few decades. I would go even beyond that, and that there are now people in both countries. We're talking about citizens and perhaps even some journalists who wish to see a total war or total hatred between every Thai to every Cambodian, every Cambodians to every Thai. Now you've been embedded in Thailand for 10 years, and I think you have seen quite a bit of what's happening on both sides of the divide. Is there any practical advice, or I mean, what do you make of it? And this thing is still,
For me, I think
it's
that
still rolling,
Yeah,
free
but-
fall around the clock.
I think that you are correct that it should be reported on. I think that that nationalism exists is so important, and to deny that there isn't nationalism is scarier than saying it. However, as you said, the responsibility is on the journalist of how they present it, right? And for me, for example, just like what you've said, I have taken pictures of some graffiti in Bangkok that basically is a wanted poster of Hun Manet. Saying that they're war criminals, and there was people that were saying that I'm biased for showing this. However, when you write captions for news, I think it's quite simple to just state exactly what you see and put it there, and not engage with the people who turn it into. Of course, there's going to be people that come and they react to the message, but it is your responsibility to just say what it is and where it is, and to make sure that it's real. I think that if we ignore that there's nationalism, that there's racism, that there's all types of things. I mean, corruption, if we just ignore those things, what are we here for? And obviously, to anyone that's following this issue at all, nationalism has made it 10 times worse. I don't know. I mean, so how can we talk about the border conflict without talking about the incitement of nationalism? We have to. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just online, it's just AI or whatever. But no, when you walk down the street and you see it, it's shocking. I was in a cab the other day, and a guy asked me, you believe that these construction workers are Cambodian? And I knew that they were. And I said, yeah. And he immediately was disgusted. And I really was just shocked, because I have been online a lot the last couple of days, so you can easily be comfortable with the idea that everything is just online. But we live in the digital age. The internet is real. It has a real impact on our lives too. And so I think that we absolutely must report on it, but we have to make sure that we are responsible in how we present it, which is that we only say what it is. And if people, like you're asking me now, ask me about nationalism, I think that we have to talk to our friends. We have to talk to our loved ones. I have friends who are journalists, Thai journalists, who have crossed the line. And I speak to them about it in a way that comes from a place of compassion, because I don't want that to happen. And when I see that someone is becoming nationalist themselves, that means that it's effective, that it's actually getting not just people seem to assign the idea of stupidity or that lack of education, that people who are affected by nationalism, just them. But no, I know extremely smart nationalists. And to be able to conduct very coordinated, effective campaigns of nationalism, you have to be smart. And also to battle them, you have to do it responsibly and with care. And so I think that it's important, yeah.
Well, with that note, I appreciate your time, Khun Mathant. Thank you for joining us here at Khawsot English. This is Prawit Rochanaprit signing off. ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you.